Hello friends, in this video what I am going to tell you about is that this is the study of geotechnical aspects of subgrade soil from Jamshoro to Sevan Highway. Actually, it was my final year project and we have studied some geotechnical investigation or we have done experimental investigation of the soil as well. So we were having a final year project presentation as well. So right now I am having two final year projects were going on. So what I have to do, I just want to provide the sample to my students, and especially we are also working or doing experimental investigation of soil as well with the addition of polypropylene fibers. So right now, what I want to do, I just want to give you an example to how can you make your presentations well versed, attractive, productive, and looks informative to your audience. So I really want to show this one. So it's a detailed presentation in which through which you will get an idea how can you make your presentation. But you can reduce the slide as well. It's totally up to you. So after taking a long time, so I have decided to make this video, and I want all of you guys, even you are working under my supervisions, even you are working with the supervision of your other teachers. So you should watch this video. So you will find this very helpful. So right now, what I am going to do, it is the study of geotechnical aspects of subgrade soil from Jamshoro to Sevan Highway. So I am moving towards the next slide. And what we have done in this slide, what we have done, actually, there were some group members of my project. Now it's a Gantt chart. I don't think so it's a need of it right now, but we are more concerned with what? We are concerned with the table of contents of this presentation, and it will also help you guys who are working in the soil investigation. So table of contents, introduction, objectives, scope, literature review, methodology, sieve analysis, liquid limit and plastic limit test, standard and modified Proctor test. But if you are, obviously you are doing testing for the lab, for the roads, soil testing of the roads. So what you have to do, obviously there must be the heavy traffic, and if you are having highway, so there is no need of standard Proctor test. So you just go with the modified Proctor test. Then we are having CBR test, California bearing ratio test, and then we have conclusion, recommendation, picture. And you can also add one thing more, that is your references. So I did not add in it because it's my previous FIP project presentation. So you can add it up right now. Now I am moving towards the definition of the pavement, what is actually the pavement is. So according to the definition, pavement in civil engineering, durable surfacing of a road. Airstrip, you can say, where the obviously that is the pavement, rigid pavement for example, where the aeroplanes move. So that is airstrip or similar area. The primary function of a pavement is to transmit loads to the subbase and underlying soil. So what actually the pavement is, we are providing the durable surfacing of a road on which the traffic or vehicle can move. So, and the major function of a pavement is to what? Is to transmit loads to the subbase and an underlying soil. So I am moving towards the next slide. And what is this? This is the types of pavements: flexible pavement and rigid pavement. So what are the layers of flexible pavement? Surface course, base course, subbase, subgrade. Subbase optional, usually treated subgrade. Subgrade is the existing soil on which the pavement is going to be laid. And in the rigid pavement, what are the layers? Subgrade, the first layer, or you can say the first layer. After that, we will put the layer of subbase course if needed. If it is required, base course, you are the engineer, you have to decide it. Then base course, non-erosive, concrete slab, jointed, transfer joint, and normally rigid pavements we used for the airports, where the runways, you can say. So this is all about the types of pavement, and you will know that what are the layers of the flexible pavements and the rigid pavements. So I am now moving towards the next slide, and you can see I have used some cartoons to make my presentations attractive to gain the audience attraction. Now, a highway. A highway is a main road. A highway is a main road intended for travel between destinations like cities and towns. And one thing what you can do when you are making your presentation, so you can use the GIF pictures, and even you can put the car over here and that can move it. You can make an animation on the PowerPoint as well yourself. So what is the definition of highway? Highway is actually the road. For what? For travel between one destination. Maybe the destinations between the cities and between the towns. So obviously it is used for the heavy vehicles and light vehicles as well. So I am moving towards it is the location of the map from where we have collected the soil. You can see over here. Now the site details. So name of the project, location, consultant, contractor, expected overall cost, project start, estimation, completion. So we have given some details over here in a tabular form. So it will look so attractive and it will be easier for the audience to understand it. So now I am moving towards, unfortunately, I have lost my mic. I was searching it, but my video will get late. So I have decided to make this video. So I am trying my level best to get as loud as I can. So you will hear my video properly. Soil testing is a very important part of road construction. Obviously, it is not possible to construct a road if we will not do a soil testing. For example, if the soil is poorly graded, so what will happen? Obviously, we have to add some layers over there, or obviously we have to increase the thickness, or otherwise we can do one more thing, that we can use some different additives, admixtures in the soil to increase its strength. In fact, no construction project can proceed without first making sure the soil can support the load. So we will do soil investigation even for the building as well, for the bridges, for the roads. So it is not possible to construct any building, any road, any bridge without the soil investigation, or you can say the soil testing. So what we have to do for the soil testing, we have to divide the road in different layers, and we will collect different samples and we have to test it. Thus, the purpose of soil testing for construction is to determine the suitability of the soil for the type of construction to be done. It is very clear why we are doing soil testing, because we need to find out the suitability of the soil, whether it is good for the construction or it is not. There are several different types of pre-construction soil testings. Obviously, there are lots of types of testing before the construction of the road. The type of test depends on the properties of the soil. So first we have to find out the properties of the soil, what soil actually is, which category of the soil is. Then we have to do further testing to find out its strength. The design of the foundation is based on the soil test report. Obviously, whatever we design, for example, we are going to design the foundation. So what we have to decide it on the basis of the results of the soil test. Some tests are conducted at the construction site while others are done in the laboratory. It's very simple because because we are having, when we are constructing the road, so the road span or area, you can say, or length of the road should be too wide, or you can say it is at so much kilometers. So what we have to do, some testing we can do it on the site even, and some testing we can do it in the laboratory. The common soil types tests used for highway construction are classification of soil, moisture content determination, particle size distribution, plastic limit test, and liquid limit and CBR test. These are the most widely used tests for road constructions. The main purpose of the project to check the suitability of the grade for the construction of highway. So why we are doing testing? So we are doing testing to check the suitability of the subgrade, because all the layers depends upon the strength of the subgrade. So now I am moving towards the next slide, and what it is. Objectives and scopes. The objectives of the project are to classify the soil sample, we have taken one soil sample from the defined length of the road, and we have imagined that the whole road having the same soil category, but it is not actually do so, because we were doing with the final year project, because we were not having enough time. We have only the duration of 10 or 12 months, and in that period we have 6 in 6 11 or 10 subjects as well. So students do not have time to take to do lots of testing, and we can take lots of sample from the soil, and then we will test it and compare it. So right now we were not having so much time. So what we have done, we have taken only one soil sample. For the higher, to determine the CBR value of subgrade soil, to compare the results of soil test conducted in the lab and results collected from site. To compare the results of soil test conducted in the lab and results collected from the site. So what we have done, we have taken the report from the site as well, and then we have done soil testing in our lab, and then we have compared the results. The scope of the project is limited to only one soil sample. So although I have already told you, also soil investigation on variety of samples should be performed to get more accuracy in the results. The assumption is made that there is no appreciable variation in the soil properties of the selected highway. So these were two limitations of this project scope, you can see. So we have assumed that there is no appreciable variation in the soil properties of the selected highway. So we have taken only one sample. So now I am moving towards the literature review. The research papers we have studied for doing this research final year project. So you can put 3 or 4 projects research papers over here. So first one is for the papers, methodology and conclusion. So effect of California bearing ratio on the properties of the soil by Mr. Yashash, SR1, Mr. Harish, SN2, Professor Muraladhara, HR3. For conducting experiments, selected 15 samples, soil samples from road link connecting between Dudda to Karmangala Gate, Hassan District, Karnataka, India, at every 100-meter interval for a distance of 1.5 kilometer from a depth of 3 feet below existing pavement level. So what they have done different testing in this research paper, and they have taken out 15 soil samples and from the road defined over here. So which type of test they have done? Field density, dry density, bulk density. This is because as the density of soil increases, so they have checked out the CBR value for that. So what they have concluded, this is because the density of soil increases, the soil particles become more compact to carry more loads. They are saying that field density, dry density and bulk density are directly proportional to CBR. Why is it so? This is because as the density of soil increases, the soil particles become more compact to carry more loads or stresses. Therefore, as CBR increases, strength of subgrade increases. So they have concluded that if CBR value is increasing, so the value of subgrade strength of subgrade was also increasing. So this is about the research paper we have studied related to our title of the project. Now, methodology. So what we have done, site visits, investigation of soil to know soil classification and its strength by collecting soil sample from the site of Jamshoro to Sevan Highway, classify the soil sample by using grain size distribution, identifying moisture content and plastic limit using liquid limit and plastic limit test. Determination of optimum moisture content, optimum dry density from standard Proctor test and modified Proctor test, computation of CBR value by California bearing ratio test, comparison of the results obtained from the site and laboratory. So these were the testing, or you can say the methodology and procedure we have done during this final project. So now I am moving towards the first of all, soil classification basics. So there are different types of soil classification: Unified Soil Classification System, American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, AASHTO. First one is the ASTM, US Department of Agriculture, USDA, Burmester Soil Identification System, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. So there are 5 soil classification basics, but we have used Unified Soil Classification System over here, USCS and American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. because we use it normally over here in the fields. So I am moving towards the next slide, and it is showing you what commonly used standard sieve sizes. Now you can see in the first column, you are looking here that the sieve numbers, number 4, number 6, number 8, number 10, number 16, number 20, number 30, number 40, number 50, number 60, number 80, number 100, number 140, number 170, number 200, number 270. What does it mean by that? In one linear edge, when you are talking about sieve number 4, so it means that there in one linear edge there are 4 meshes over there. When I will talk about number 6, so there are 6 meshes in one linear edge. Then there are 8 meshes in one linear edge. Then there are 10 meshes, or you can say square boxes within one layer. We are talking about the sieves. Sieves, you know that, but what we have to do, we have to distribute the particle size, grain particle size of the aggregates, or you can say coarse aggregate or fine aggregate, any one. So this category, these sieve sizes are for the soil, and I am talking about the fine aggregate, not with the coarse aggregate. So if I will see the number 4 opening in millimeter, if I am talking about number 4, so it is 4.75 millimeter. If it is in inch, so it is 0.187 inches. So you can find this table on an internet, and you must understand it what I am trying to explain you. I am saying you the sieve sizes, sieve number, and sieve numbers according to their openings. How many openings in one linear edge? If I am talking about number 4, so 4 openings in one linear edge. Number 6 means in one linear edge there are 6 openings. There are 8 openings in number 8 in one linear edge. Number 10 means 10 openings in one linear edge. So now opening in millimeter and inches, what does it? And if I'm talking about number 4 sieve size, so it means its opening is 4.7 millimeter and its opening in inches is 0.187 inches. So this is the way to categorize the sieve sizes, and we can see it's in millimeter and it's in inches. When you are making sieve analysis graph, so what you have to do, you have to use the opening in millimeter or inches, not use the sieve number in number 4, number 6, number 8, number 10, like that. So that will be easier for you. When I'm talking about number 200, so after passing from soil from number 200, so what does it mean by that? Where the soil which we will get it, that is mostly dependent on the silt and clay. So this is all about the categorization according to the sieve sizes, and you can get these standards on internet as well. You just need to search out sieve tables. So sieve sizes you can say, so you will get it. Okay. Now you have seen that the sieve sizes, and now I am going to discuss about the soil grain sizes. So you can see the category soil type, how many categories of the soil types, that is gravel, sand, silt, and clay. So gravel is represented in USC Unified Soil Classification System. I have already told you that there are different sorts of soil classification, but we are using Unified Soil Classification System, and the second one is the AASHTO. So I am talking about the USC symbol. So gravel is denoted or represented as G, sand is represented as S, silt is represented as M, clay is represented as C. And if you will see Unified Soil Classification System, so you can see over here that 76.2 millimeter to 4.75 millimeter is the category of the gravels. For example, let me go back and let's check it out. So 4.75 is, it's 76.2 to 4.75. So what does it mean by that? 4.75, I already told you, is for, after 4.75 is for soil category. So the amount which is passed from number 4 sieve, that is known as the sand. But the amount retained on the number 4 sieve, that is known as the gravel. And the previous one is the 3 inch, 2 inch. Obviously, you know it. What are the sieve sizes used for the coarse aggregate. So you can see this is in millimeter opening. So up to 76.2 to 4.75, you will find the gravel material. So the passing from the 76.2 millimeter sieve size to 4.75 millimeter sieve, that you will get the gravel. And after that 4.75 to 0.075, so what you will get it? So let me see that we will get it sand. So 4.75 to 0.075, and I have already told you, let me take a pointer over here. So I will explain you as well here that up to, after passing from 4.75 to up to this 0.075, you will get only sand. So you have to keep this in mind that you are going to get sand when you are talking about this. So I am moving towards the next sand. The sand is done and gravel is done. Hopefully it will be clear to you. The amount which is passed from after 0.075, I have already told you, the amount which is passed from number 200 sieve, you will get silt and clay. So fines is less than 0.075. It means that your sieve size particles should be 0.075 millimeter or lesser than it, then you will get silt and clay. So this is all about the grain size distribution for the unified classification soil system. But for AASHTO, it can be different. For USDA, MIT, it is also different, but we are using this one soil classification system. So keep this in mind that we have to follow this one, USC Unified Soil Classification System. So I am moving towards the next slide, and this is grain size distribution sieve analysis. A sieve analysis or gradation test is a practice or procedure to assess the particle size distribution, also called gradation, of a granular material by allowing the material to pass through a series of sieves of progressively smaller mass size and weighing the amount of material that is stopped by each sieve as a fraction of the whole mass. I have already discussed this grain size distribution in the practicals or laboratory sessions of the strength of material playlist, and you can watch this. How can we do sieve analysis for the coarse aggregate and for the fine aggregate? But we do it at the same time for the final year project, obviously in the testing as well. So at the top we will put 3 inches, and at the bottom we will put a number 270 or number 200 sieve size. So this will be the sequence from the grain size distribution. So at the top we will get the gravel, and then after number 4 sieve we will start to get sand, and after number 200 sieve we will get silt and clay. So this is all the category of the soil. So now I am moving towards the next slide. Procedure of sieve analysis, you already know that. Clean the sieves of sieve shaker using cleaning brush. If any particles are struck in the openings, record the weight of each sieve and receiving pan. Weigh the specimen and record its weight. Arrange the sieves in order as the smaller opening sieve to the last and the larger opening sieve to the top. Simply arrange them in the order of sieve numbers, number 4 sieve on top and number 200 sieve at bottom. So now this is sieve analysis graph, and you can see this is very much attractive, and it is very much clear to all of you as well. This is I have made it myself. I already told you how can you make the graph on the Excel, and after making this graph on the Excel, then I have copied it and put it on the PowerPoint. But what I have done, I put it the categorization of the soil over here. So now I have to tell you how I have done this categorization. So now you can see this is the sieve analysis graph, and you have seen there that I have label it here as well. And if you can see this line, so this one, the green sieve analysis field data. So this green line is showing the sieve analysis, and this is the orange line, and it is showing that sieve analysis for the lab data. So it's legend, so you have to select legend in the chart. Secondly, what I have done on the x-axis, I have taken sieve sizes in millimeter. So you can take a millimeter in the small letters. So it should be like is small. So now next thing on the y-axis, I have taken it percentage, passing percentage. I have already told you how can you make the graph. So I have to tell you how can you read this graph. For example, obviously it is in the reverse order and logarithmic table graph is this. So what I have done here that it starts from 0.01 and it is going to end at 100. So sieve sizes from 0.01 to 100 millimeter. So what I have done over here, you can see if it is 0.01, so it should be 0. It is increasing. So it is increasing from right to, let me take another pointer color and you can see after a long time I'm making a long size video. So this is the direction of increasing, and if it is 0.02, so it is 0.03. This one 0.04. So it is increasing like that. So it will be 0.05. This one 0.06. This one 0.07. This one should be 0.08. So this will be the lines like that. So you can see the increment. So how many lines are there? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 lines are here. So this one 9 line, this is the grayish one line. So this one line is for 0.1. So this is the way it is increasing. When after 0.1, I will move on 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, and then it will become 1. And then after that from 1, what will happen? So you can see it is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and it will become 1, 2. It is 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is the lightest line you can see here. It is a light one. It is gray. And then you will see 10, 11, 12, not 11, 12, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. So this is the way you can read these lines. And now I'm moving towards the y-axis, and you can see there is percentage passing in percentage. So percentage passing is from 0 to 100. So what I want to tell you here is that, now look, now the graph I got it, this line I got it, and this one line I got it. So what I have to do, so this one is the lab data because we have done this laboratory investigation in the lab of the university. So what we have done diameter 60, diameter 30, diameter 10. So what we have to check it out at 10% passing, the size is what? At 10% passing, it is coming out to be 0.17 millimeters. So you can check it out. For example, it is 10%. And you will touch and drop this line here. First, you should draw at 10% this line. D10 means diameter at 10% passing. And you will drop this perpendicular here and you will read this one. So it is 0.1 and it is 0.2. So it is nearest to 0.2. So I have taken it 0.17. Now I'm moving towards the diameter 30 grain size. So 30% passing. So I will draw this line here and then I drop it. So what I am getting it over here, when I will, it will be connected over here. It is directly putting over here. So you will see it is 0.2. This one is 0.2, 0.3, and it is 0.4. So D30 is coming out to be 0.4 because it is directly lying on this line. Then after that, what I have to say to you at 60% passing. So we have to take 3 readings. So what I have to do, I have to take it from the graph myself. So at 60%, when I have to drop this line over here, so at this stage, what D60 is coming out over here in millimeter. So I have to check it out. If it is 1, so it is 2 point something because 2.5 here. So it is 2.2. So I have taken it 2.2 millimeter. So this is the way to find out D10, D30, D60. So, and one more thing I want to tell you, from 10 millimeter to at what? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 point something. We will get from 10 to 5 point something. We are getting gravel. Obviously from 100 to here. This is the category, and I have put this name named myself. Then there is the sand. Sand has having 3 categories: coarse sand, medium sand, fine sand. So core sand from after this till 2 millimeter size. Then 2 millimeter to 2 millimeter to 2 millimeter to 0.2345. It means 0.48. Up till 0.48, I got the medium size sand. Then after that, fine, I will get 0. Till this up to here at this line. This is 0. So you can put it according to yourself, according to the classification of unified soil classification system. Then after that, we will get if this line grows. From example, if I am drawing this one and this line comes like this. So what does it mean by that? According to this red line graph, so it means this soil contains gravel, coarse, medium sand, fine sand also, and it contains also silt and clay as well, and a good amount of silt and clay as well. And if you are going down, so the percentage is decreasing. So obviously you can read it according to the table you got it, and you must read. You can understand the graph. How can you read this graph? So it must be clear to all of you. How can you elaborate this graph? This is all about the elaboration of this graph. So hopefully you will understand it. How can you read this sieve analysis graph for the soil categorization? I am moving towards the next slide, and you can see what is the coefficient of uniformity and coefficient of curvature. We are having the formula. Coefficient of uniformity is equals to D60 upon D10. We are not concerned with the values right now. We are just concerned to understand the coefficient of uniformity, coefficient of curvature, D60, D10, D30, percent fines, gravel, sand, and all that. So Cu is equals to D60 upon D10. So the answer is coming out to be 12.95. Cc is the formula is D squared 30 divided by D60 into D10. So you will get coefficient of curvature equals to 0.43. Percent fines, how can you find it out? I have already told you in the sieve analysis calculation on the Excel sheet. So you can see over there. Now the gravel percentage, you have to find it how much gravel particles in your sand. You have to find it out according to the sieve analysis, and the sand was 80.4%. So I am moving towards the next slide. When I got it this percentage, on this basis, what I have to do? Coarse grained soil, more than 50% retained. This is unified soil classification system. So coarse grained soil or fine grained soil. If you are having more than 50% retained on number 200 ASTM sieve. So what does it mean by that? If more than 50% retained on number 200 sieve, so we will take this one. Otherwise, we will go for the fine grained soil. 50% or more passes after number 200 sieve. But in our category, in this category, we were having the soil more than 50% before the number 200 sieve. And after that, we don't have any amount left. So that's why we have taken this one. So I have selected this one. So I boxed it yellow with that. Then I have to select sands or gravel. More than 50% of coarse fraction passes number 4. More than 50% are passing from number 4 STM sieve, or 50% or more. It means that number 4, after number 4, more than 50% are passing from number 4 sieve. Yes, it's that. So that's why I selected this one. So in this, I have selection sands with fines, clean sands. We were having clean sands over here. So I will select this box. Then SW or SP, well-graded sands and gravelly sands, little or no fines. Yes, we were having sands, some amount of gravel as well, but little, some small amount of fines, and it was around no fines because it is 0.2%. You can see percent fines over here. So on this, what we have selected, this one SW. But SP, what is the problem with the SP? SP is poorly graded sand and gravelly sand, little or no fines. Poorly graded, it was not poorly graded sand. So what I have to do, I have to select SW, well graded. Then classification on the basis of percentage of fines less than 5% passing number 200 ASTM sieve. GW, GP, SW, it means that if you are having less than 5% passing from number 200, it is obviously it is 0.2%. So it is less than 5%. So what does it mean? The soil category can be well graded, poorly graded, GW means well graded gravel, poorly graded gravel, well graded sand, poorly graded sand. So more than 12% passing number 200 ASTM, so it can be GM. So we were having less than 5% passing. So we will go with GW, GP, SW, SP. If it is greater than that, so it will be what? If it is greater than 5 to, it will be around 5 to 12%. So what does it mean by that? It can be what? It can be what? So let me see, it can be what? So let me check. It is requiring other symbols. It needs other symbols. And what is that? GM, GC, SM, SC. So what does it mean by that? GM, gravelly silt, gravelly clay. SM means silty sand, a clay sand. Okay. Now, then I have to move U greater than 6, CC between 1 to 3. So what I have to check, what is the value of CC or CU? CC is less than 1 and CU is 12.95. So we will see U greater than 6. CU is greater than 6. Yes, it is greater than 6. And it is less than 1. Yes. Between 1 and 3. So we can take it between 1 and 3. It is less than 1. So we will select this one. So now it is categorized. Now we have decided this soil can be GW, GP, SW, SP. Okay, it means this is SW. Now, because it is decided from here. Now I'm moving towards it is SW. And now you can see we were having more sand. Here 80.1% sand. So it is less than 5% fine. We will go CU is greater than 6. 1 is less than equals to C is less than equals to 3. So it's well graded sand. 15% gravel, less than 15% gravel, we were well graded sand. So I can name it as SW. So you can see this category and how it is categorized. You can check it over here. Now I am moving towards the next slide. It is saying gravel and sand are present in the soil with a small amount of clay and silt. Well graded soil. Now it is decided the category of soil is decided as CU is greater than equals to 6 and 1 is less than equals to CC is less than equals to 3. Well graded sand with gravel. So I can say name it SW. Now I am moving toward the liquid limit test. So the liquid limit test is a measure of the shear strength of a soil at some water content. In a liquid limit test, a device called a Casagrande's liquid limit device, which consists of a cup, which a mechanism that moves up and down is used to determine the soil's liquid limit. So this is the way we can find out the liquid limit test, and I will share the practical application of this liquid limit test as well. Right now, I'm not going into the detail of this procedure. So what is the procedure? I'm just trying to discuss with it. So what I have to do, let me do one thing here. I wrote one over here and there is no removing over here. So determine weight of 3 moisture cans. Put about 250 gram of air dry soil, pass through number 40 sieve into an evaporating dish, add water and mix soil to form a uniform paste. Place a portion of soil in the paste brass cup of the liquid limit device using grooving tool. Cut a groove along the center line of the soil, pat in the cup, turn the crank of the liquid limit device at the rate of 2 revolutions per second. In this way, the liquid limit cup will rise and drop through a vertical distance of 10 millimeter once for each revolution. The soil from 2 sides will begin to flow towards the center. Count the number of blows. Collect the moisture sample from a soil and put in a moisture can. Determine weight of moisture can, then put it in a oven to dry. Now, this graph you can see over here, this is liquid limit determination, and you can see we are having lab data and field data, and you can say laboratory investigation. So what I have done on the x-axis, we are having log graph, log n, a number of blows. On the y-axis, we are having moisture content. So on the x-axis, we are having logarithmic number of blows. So you can see 1 blows, 5 blows, 25 blows. So 25, it will be 24, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's not. So we have to discriminate it, divide it according to the number of lines. So now I am moving towards what I am going to check it out. Now you can see I have already discussed it in the Excel sheet. How can you make this graph? So now the point you are getting at 25 number of blows. So you can draw the line over here, and you can also draw, so you can find out the moisture content in this way. Wherever it touches, so you will get your moisture content, and it is denoted as WL. So you will get the one value. If you are getting this one investigation done by the student, so the blue line. So you can say WL is equals to coming out to be 26.1%. So now I am, that is the moisture content. I am moving towards the plastic limit test, and you can see these are threads. The plastic limit of a soil is the moisture content at which soil begins to behave as a plastic material. So procedure of plastic limited test is put about 250 gram of the air dry soil pass through number 40 sieve into an evaporating dish. Add water and mix soil to form a uniform paste. From the moist soil, prepare several ellipsoidal shaped soil masses by squeezing the soil with the fingers. Roll it on a ground glass using the palm of hand. When the thread being rolled reaches 1/8 inches, 3.18 millimeter in diameter, then break up into several small pieces and squeeze it with fingers. Collect small crumbled pieces in the moisture can. Take its weight and then put into the oven to dry. After 24 hours, takes its weight again. This is all about liquid limit, plastic limit test we have done in the laboratory, and I have told you the procedure and how the calculations you have to do. Now, this is the plastic limit determination table. Observations, container number. You can see weight of wet soil, weight of dry soil with the container. And finally, we got out the average plastic limit from here. That was coming out to be 14.91. So we have done 3 samples. We have taken 3 samples, put it in the oven and take out the readings as well. And you know the procedure as very well. I will show the video as well. But right now I'm just concerned with the presentation. So how can you do it? So I am moving towards the next slide, and this is the plastic limit formula. PL is equals to W2 minus W3, W3 minus W1 into 100. This is the formula. And you can see W2 denotes weight of wet soil plus container, weight of dry soil plus container, and W3 is the weight of the container. So you will put the values accordingly, and the plastic index value formula is liquid limit minus plastic limit. So we will get the plasticity index, that is 7.58. So this is the way to find out the plastic limit values and liquid limit, and you will find out the plasticity index of the soil. Okay, students, what we are going to do up here, now it's on this slide, you can see here that passing percentage from number 10 passing is 57.70. You have to find it out yourself from the sieve analysis calculations. Passing percentage from number 40 sieve is 30.80%. Passing percentage from number 200 sieve is 0.6%. Liquid limit is, as we have calculated in this presentation, is 22.49%. Plasticity index is 7.58%. So what does it mean by that? I did not calculate it over here. I just take all these things here to tell you that we are having this value. And what we have to do, we have to use this value for the H2 classification. So let's have a look on the next slides what I am trying to say. So let's have a look. This is the H2 soil classification. Now we have to use the H2 soil classification system. I have already told you in the start of this presentation is that we will use unified soil classification system. Another one is the H2 soil classification system. It's an American system. So what we have to do, whatever the percentage we got it, so let me check it what we have got it in the previous slide. So these are the values which we got it from passing percentage from number 10. Why do I take out these things? So let me clear here. Group classification, general class. Sieve analysis, person passing. US number 10 sieve passing, 50 maximum, number 40 passing, 30 maximum, number 200 passing 15 maximum. So that's why I need to know these values. So that's why I put all these values on the separate slide. And now I am moving towards why do I select this one. So now there are different types of classification: A1 soil classification, A3, A2, A4, A5, A6, A7, according to the AASHTO soil classification system. A obviously used for the AASHTO. Now what you have to see, US number 10 passing is, so number 10 passing is, we have 57.7% for 70% of our own soil sample. So it is 57.7. So 50 maximum is only allowed here. So let me take the pointer. Let me take the pointer here, and you can see only we have 57.70, but the problem is that the maximum is allowed over here. It's only 50. So we have to omit this A1A. So we cannot move in that. So now I'm moving towards the A1B. So there is no categorization over here. So I can take this one. US number passing, that is 57.70%. So it's okay. Now I am moving towards the 40 number sieve passing. So how much percentage? That is 30.8. So it is 50 maximum allowed. So 50% is allowed up till 50%. So it is under 30, it is under 50, that is 30.8. So it's okay. And the number 200 passing will be is 0.6. So 0.25 maximum. So it comes under 25. So it's okay. Now I'm moving to the characteristics of fraction passing, US number 4, but it is not written anything over here. Now liquid limit, plasticity index. So liquid limit is not written over here, but plasticity index is only 6 maximum allowed. So I have to see plasticity index, that is 7.58. So we cannot move with this because we are having a plasticity index greater than 6 maximum. So I am moving towards the A3 category. Now I have to see that here sieve number passing 10 is how much. So it is not written over here. So there is no neither. It's okay. It is 50. Obviously, it is more than 50%. Now I am moving toward the number 40 passing, that is 51 maximum. So let me see. It is 30.8. So it's okay that we are moving towards the A3 classification. So it is under that limit. So number 200 passing is 10 maximum. So it is 0.6%. So it comes under 10% passing. So it's okay. And then what you have to do, plasticity index, that is more greater than 6 maximum. No value is written over here. It is non-plastic. And we have no group index 0. So we are moving towards the fine sand. That is okay. And excellent to good. So we our soil classification will be A3. If you are moving towards here, so it means silt clay material. Now this is granular material. So we should not move towards this area because it comes under silt clay materials. But the problem was that more than 35% passing, US number sieve 200. So we are not moving towards here. We should stay over here. Why is it so? Because silty clay material we were not having in this soil classification because there is little and very small amount of soil silty and clay material. So it is not more than 35% passing. It is around 0.2% fine particles. So what does it mean by that? We should have to stop over here. It means the general rating as subgrade is excellent to good. So our soil classification will be A3 and it's excellent to good. And there are mostly fine sand. So I am moving towards the next slide. So let's have a look. Standard Proctor test. So this is again the procedure to follow it. Take soil sample of weight 3 kg passing from number 40 sieve. Add water and mix soil properly, clean mold and fix base. Take empty weight of mold and base, attach the collar, put the soil in the mold and compact it in the mold in 3 layers. Each layer being given 25 blows. Remove collar and cut excess of soil. Eject soil from the mold, cut it in the middle and keep representative soil for moisture content determination. Calculate bulk density and dry density. Take out the compacted soil, break and remix it with raised water content by 2% or 4%. Repeat the process. I will tell you its practical demonstration in my other videos, because I have recorded that video, so I will upload it in the next video. So I am moving towards the standard Proctor test graph, and I have already told you how can you make this graph. So now we will get it what optimum moisture content from this graph and optimum dry density as well. So at moisture content, we are moving from 0%, 2%, 4%, 6%, 8%, 10%, 12%. Where the maximum value come. So what we have to do, we have to draw the line from here and line here. And then we will see what is the optimum dry density is coming out here and what is the optimum moisture content. So optimum moisture content is 8% over here, and it is around 2.29, but because you can see this is 2.25. If it is 2.25, so it will be 2.26, 2.27, 2.28, and this will be 2.29. So it is 2.29 gram per cubic centimeter, Okay, then this is the way, and you can write down cubic centimeter like cc, and you can also write it down centimeter cube per. Okay, this is the way to find out optimum moisture content on optimum dry density. And at this percentage, now you will be able to do the CBR test. But this is the standard Proctor test, and there is no need of to do it. So what you have to do, you have to go for the modified Proctor test, because obviously we are doing highway. So the soil obviously will take the load of the heavy traffic. So we will do modified Proctor test for this. So this is all about the standard Proctor test. How can you do or perform the standard? Now students, this is modified Proctor test, and what we have to do, this is the same, but the weight of the rammer is different. So the soil is compacted in the given mold in 5 layers with a rammer of 10 pounds, or you can say 4.5 kg, with a fall of 18 inches, 45 centimeter. Take soil sample of weight 6 kg passing from number 40 passing sieve. Add water and mix soil properly. Clean mold and fix base. Take empty weight of mold and base. Attach the collar. Put the soil in the mold and compact it in the mold in 5 layers. Each layer being given 25 blows. Remove collar and cut excess oil. Eject soil from the mold. Cut it in the middle and keep representative soil for moisture content determination. Calculate bulk density and dry density. Take out the compacted soil. Break and remix it. It's a mistake over here. It should be remix it with raised water content by 2% or 4%. Repeat the process. You guys already know the how can you do this procedure of modified Proctor test. So I'm moving towards the explanation of this graph. Now you can see there are the two lines. One is the field data which we got the reading from the field. They have done test in the field. And we are doing comparison with the laboratory investigation. So what is the most important thing is over here, this graph. This we have done in the laboratory. So you can see its curve is looking like at this, but the maximum where is the peak is coming. So this is the peak. And I have to draw the line over here and drop the line over here. So you will draw the perpendicular over here. So what you will get the moisture content. Optimum moisture content, that is OMC 10%. I have already told you in the video of the Excel sheet where I have described you how can you make this graph. And this is the optimum dry density. You will drop this over here. So you will get this value. So what is this? This is 2.5. Obviously, this is 2.6 because there is a 2.5 and this is 3. So each line is of 2.1. So 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9 and 3. So optimum dry density is coming out to be 2.6 gram per centimeter cube, and optimum moisture content is coming out to be 10%. Now this 10%, it means we are getting maximum optimum moisture content at 10%. So we will take this 10%, we will add 10% water for the CBR test. So I am moving towards the next slide, and we are going to discuss about the California bearing ratio test, that is CBR test. The California bearing ratio, and obviously there is no need of N over here, it's a mistake. Bearing ratio, CBR test is a penetration test used to evaluate the subgrade strength of roads and pavements. CBR percentage value can be calculated as on load value divided by standard load multiplied by 100. So you can see the CBR testing machine over here in this picture, and we have done this testing in the laboratory. And thank you so much for my students as well who supported me in doing this investigation. So procedure of a CBR test is take soil sample of 6 kg, add water to the specimen and put it in the mold. Compact in 5 layers by giving 55 blows per layer. After compaction, remove the collar and level the surface. Put out the sample from the mold and place it in the CBR machine for the test. Take sample for determination of moisture content. Now you can see there are so many lines over here, but the main line is we have to study over here. That is the orange line on the 55 blows. So I have heard that we have to take the reading on only the 55 blows. So we will check it out which number of blows are more accurate or better than that. So you can ask from the field as well. So we have to do on 55 blows. We have done this testing in the laboratory investigation, and what we have done, you can see the orange line. So what was the penetration? I already told you how can you do the calculation table, how can you make the calculation table on the Excel sheet of the CBR testing. So it's detailed video already present on my channel. So you can watch it from there, obviously. So now penetration in millimeter, you can see over here, and the unit load kg per centimeter square. So you can see the graph is drawn over here, and this is the orange one. So you can see what's happening over here. This is we got this graph on 55 blows. And the other lines are from the field data, which we have taken. They have done testing on 10 blows, 30 blows, and 65 blows. But experienced supervisor always told me that we have to do this testing on 55 blows. So you can ask from the field investigation as well what they are using. So you can do more testing as well. But right now we are more concerned with how can you describe this graph. So you can see the comparison. At 65 blows, you are getting higher value. At 30 blows, you are getting lower value. And at 10 blows, you are getting lower values. At 55 blows, you are getting this value is in between these three lines. So this is all about CBR test, and you can say this is penetration. You will get it from here. So this is penetration versus unit load. So what we get it over here. So let me discuss. Liquid limit, we got it. Field data is 20, but we got it in laboratory investigation 22.49. Plastic limit was 17.2 from the field data. We got it. And this is the laboratory investigation 14.91. Plasticity index is 2.8 and plasticity index for the lab data is 7.58. CBR value 10 number of blows 15.4%, CBR value at 30 number of blows 20.4%, and CBR value at 65 number of blows 23.9%. CBR value at 55 number of blows is 22.54. So it is nearest to this one, you can see. So we have compared the value of the field investigation report. We got it from the field, and the laboratory investigation we have done testing our own. So now you can see this is a clear comparison of the values we got it, and anyone can see the difference between the values easily. So now I am moving towards the conclusion. Laboratory test reveals that soil is well graded and suitable for highway construction according to the unified soil classification system. The rating of the subgrades comes out to be excellent to good according to the AASHTO classification system. The soil category found out to be A3. So it means that the soil contains silty or clay, gravel, and sand as per AASHTO soil classification system. The value of CBR comes out in the range of standard value of CBR for highways, which is 22.54. So it is good. The results of field report have some variation as compared to the results obtained from the laboratory results. So this is the very precise comparison of the both values, and you can find out what we extracted from our experimental investigation. So I am moving towards the next slide, that is recommendations. It is to be suggested that the collected soil sample is suitable for subgrade of highway construction. Soil classified A3 can be used satisfactorily as subgrade or subbase material. If properly drained, in addition, such soil must be properly compacted and covered with an adequate thickness of pavement for the surface load to be carried. Soil is unpredictable material, so it should be tested carefully. as the life and strength of road completely depends upon the strength of the soil. So this is all about recommendation, and I am moving towards the futuristic view. In future, we will continue this research with the calculation of thickness of the pavement on the basis of traffic load. And we can do one more thing. We can use different materials in the soil to improve its properties if it is not properly graded, but it is well graded, so there is no need of it. So in the future, we can do we can take poorly graded soil and we can try to improve its strength by using different materials, by using different stabilization. So this is all about, there are some pictures of these are testing. Now these are my students who helped me in doing this project, and you can see it's very a tiring job. They have worked a lot with me in this testing. You can see there are testing going on, and especially I really want to thank you to the lab attendant as well. There is a picture of sieve analysis over there, and they are doing tamping as well in this. And now you can see, so these are the samples, put it in the can. They are in the cane. These are cane pictures, and now this is the time to say you thank you. How a road build is a very complicated process, and there is a lot of hard work required behind it. Thank you so much for watching this video, but don't forget to subscribe my channel and follow me on www.nahidshahzad.blogspot.com. Thank you so much. If there are any question, one thing I want to tell you is that there is a comment box in the YouTube channel, and in the in the comment of this video, you must write it down your questions. You can ask me. I am always here.
Okay, now friends, what you have to do after watching my videos, you should have to subscribe to Engineer Nahid Shahzad YouTube channel and follow me at www.nahidshahzad.blogspot.com. Thank you so much for watching my video. Bye bye.